Okay, we're going to start as for basic ribbing, but this time we're going to start with knit 3.
Why 3 instead of 2?
Because I want to put a knit 1 selvage edge on both sides of this hat, and the reason I want to do that is to make sewing up the seams a little bit easier at the end.
Could you explain to all of us what a knit 1 selvage edge is?
You're going to have on every right side row, you're going to knit 1 stitch at the very beginning of the row and at the very end of the row. And on every wrong side row, you're going to purl the very first and the very last stitch. And that will give you a single line of stockinette on either side. You can then use that to sew your seam into, and that will disappear into the selvage.
Okay.
And it'll make your seam a little bit neater. A lot of patterns that don't have that can be adapted to have that, to make sewing it up a little bit easier, if you want to keep that in mind, to make your finishing a little easier.
Okay, so you've knit 3, then what?
Now we're going to talk about placing the bead. So you're going to move to the purl side because we're going to purl these beads into place.
And by the way, we have put on 72 as per the pattern we just discussed.
Right, and now we're just going to push this bead pretty much up against the needle. All the way against it. And now we're going to purl so to trap it. So just push it against there, purl. And the bead's in place. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to push the bead forward. And the advantage of this technique is that it's very portable. Once you get the beads into place, you don't have to worry about digging around in your bag for the beads. Hooking is going to have that problem. But there are advantages and disadvantages to both. We're going to now knit 2. And then we're going to purl 2. Let's get my knit 2 done.
The yarn and the bead color combination here is really cool.
I like it. Traditional school colors, maroon and gold.
Gryffindor, I think.
Gryffindor in a lot of colleges throughout the country.
I believe USC has these colors too, I think.
So does Brooklyn College, and I believe my high school had those colors.
Which was
They're just traditional.
Edward Morrow, if I remember right.
Yep. Okay, and now we're going to slip 2 more beads into place. You're not going to use this technique traditionally with lace weight yarn because the moving of the bead back and forth, I'm going to show you, just push it up against the stitch as close as you can. You can hold it with your thumbnail if you want to, and then just wrap as to purl and pull through. The movement of the bead across the yarn will put some strain onto it. A worsted weight or a light worsted like this is fine. Even a sock yarn is fine, but a lace, it could be a little bit much to deal with. So you almost always just hook with lace. Now this technique will give you beads that are aligned horizontally. I think you can see which way the hole is going through the bead. It's going same way as the knitting needle is lined up right now. It's going through this way. The hooked beads are going to line up vertically like that. And they're going to be a slightly different look. So I'm going to just knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. The pattern is of course on the website at knittingstepbystep.com. The pattern for the mittens is going to be up as well. And this is a frighteningly simple technique. What amazes me is how much versatility this gives. I want to show it one more time, and then I want to show you an amazing project that you can work with this technique. So again, you come around to the purl side. Now the bead will always sit on the purl side. So if you're knitting, it's just going to go to the back side of your work. It's always going to sit on the purl side because that's the side the bump is on.
Okay.
So you're going to hold it against the stitch. You're going to wrap the yarn as to purl. Pull towards the purl. Basically, the only difference between this and your normal purl stitch is you're going to slide the bead into place first. And that's it. Simple as can be. These techniques, although they look kind of fancy when they're in the work, are really, really easy. And I just wanted to show how far this simple technique can go. If you look at this bracelet, that is not only just the technique I've shown, it's only sliding beads, that's garter stitch.
No way.
That is simple garter stitch, just sliding the beads. That's all the project takes. This kit is available online, and I'm going to link to the entire kit on the website. And this is one of Earth's Fair's jewelry creations. I thought it was amazing looking, and it is just so simple. And the fun thing about this one, aside from the fact that it's strictly garter stitch, is I don't know if your hands are any warmer than mine to make it change faster.
You mean if I do this?
Yeah. Do you remember mood
rings? Wait, let's see. Okay, I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember mood rings?
Yes.
These are mood beads. They change color according to temperature.
So am I hot or cold?
Warmer than the table. Okay, you're going to continue across the row in the pattern of bead 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, until you get to the last 3 stitches. You're going to then purl 2, and you're going to knit 1. After that, you're going to do straight knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, except for remember to keep those selvage stitches. The right side starts and ends with an extra knit stitch. The wrong side starts and ends with an extra purl stitch. Do this for 1 inch. Then you're going to do another beading row, which is the bead 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, bead 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2 across. Go back for another inch. And then you're going to finalize it with another beading row. Now remember to have only right side rows as your beading row, because the beads will only show up on one side. After that, we're going to take a look at how to hook beads onto your work. For the hooking the bead section, the crown, we're going to switch to plain stockinette. Start by knitting 24. 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, 23, 24. To hook a bead onto the stitch, you're going to take the bead, take your crochet hook, and you're just going to insert the crochet hook into the stitch like so. Just let it sit on there. And now you're going to put the crochet hook into the stitch like so. Make sure the hooked part is pointing upward, and you're pulling down a little bit on the yarn because you want it to be caught up in the hook as much as possible. And simply pull the bead over the stitch, replace the stitch onto the needle, and knit the stitch. We're going to do this one more time. You're going to take your bead and just put the crochet hook right into the hole of the bead. Grab up the stitch, pull it off the needle, push the bead right over the stitch, replace the stitch onto the needle, and knit the stitch. That's all that's involved with getting a bead onto a stitch this way. I prefer this for a couple of reasons. 1, it's a little more flexible. 2, it puts a lot less wear and tear on the yarn. As you're moving the beads along, it will fray yarn. For a lace project such as the Lazy Bee Knit Along, it's almost unheard of to string the beads first. This is the most common way to get the beads onto the project. This is also fairly common in sock knitting, though I've seen both. This will align the beads. If you take a look. Thank you. Don't pull it.
Okay, it's alright.
The stitches need to stay on the needle.
Yes, they do.
This will align the beads vertically. So if I were just to line up to the hole of the bead, it's this way. But if I was going to line up to the hole of these strung beads, they're this way. Also, these beads are capable of moving around a little bit, whereas these are completely secure. These beads lean more to the purl side, and these beads are evenly on both sides of the work.